Call the police right now. He's disturbing our peace." That's what she yelled while her kid grinned behind the wheel of my '69 Charger, like it was just another toy to show off. And honestly, when that engine ripped away from the curb, it didn't feel like horsepower. It felt like someone was tearing a chunk of my life out right there in broad daylight. Neighbors peeked out with their phones. Nobody stepping in. And I'm just standing on my front lawn, realizing maybe the whole block already picked their side. You know? Comment what you'd have done, because to this day I still can't decide if I should have charged after him or just stood there like an idiot. You ever have those mornings that start off perfect, and then in one split second everything flips? I was out on my porch, sunrise painting gold on everything. Coffee warm in my hands. Birds raising hell in the trees. And for about 5 minutes the world was actually peaceful, like real old-school suburbia. That kind of moment where you think, yeah, maybe things are going to be okay here. Then I heard that rustling in the bushes. Not squirrel or rabbit, but big, clumsy human trying to be sneaky rustling. And that's when I saw Brent Reese strutting out from behind my neighbor's hedge like he owned the place, this 20-something punk with that slouch you only get when your mom runs the HOA and your family probably owns half the block. I'd seen him around meetings, always bored and smirking, letting his mother take care of business while he just scrolled on his phone. In his hand, he had this little electronic device, kind of like a key fob, but way too complicated. Too many blinking lights, looked like it came straight from an FBI movie. He didn't even hesitate. Walked right up to my car, my Charger, the car I'd spent 3 years and every spare dollar rebuilding. That thing was my pride, you get me. American muscle, cherry red, every bolt put in by my own hand. I just watched frozen coffee, still warm brain lagging behind what my eyes were seeing. Brent aimed his weird gadget. I heard this sharp electronic beep, and just like that, my classic steel doors unlocked themselves after market, keyless entry, and all giving in to some techie magic I didn't even understand. He slipped into the driver's seat with all the confidence in the world, started her up. The sound that engine made, man, it was like thunder rolled straight through the neighborhood. My mug hit the driveway, shattering hot coffee, stinging my feet, but I hardly felt it because Brent just looked over, waved at me. Yeah, actually waved all neighborly like he was borrowing a ladder and shouted out, "Just keeping things consistent on this street." I mean, what does that even mean? I just stood there 3 seconds maybe, disbelief turning to white-hot anger. Before I even moved, he was in drive, already halfway down the block. That's when Claudia Ree, his mother, the queen bee of Maple Grove Lane, stepped out onto her porch phone glued to her ear, speaking in that performative official tone folks use when talking to 911. "Yes, there's a disturbance, very disruptive engine revving, completely inappropriate for a residential area," she said loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. And here's the kicker, she made that call before. My car even left the driveway reporting a disturbance that hadn't happened yet while her own son was literally stealing my vehicle. The timeline was off and she didn't even care. Just stood there watching him drive away like it was the most natural thing in the world. 15 minutes later, Officer Jake Turner pulled up. One of the good ones knows everybody probably thought he was coming out for another noise complaint or a squabble about parking. "Morning, Jordan," he said, eyeing my empty driveway. "Got a call about noise." I pointed at the oil stain where my car should have been. "Hard to make noise. Complaints about a car that's not here," I said. His face changed, boredom flipping to concern. I showed him the doorbell footage, Brent with the device, the unlock, the whole bit. That's when my phone buzzed security alert from the tracking app I'd installed after someone stole my neighbor's Honda. Unauthorized tracking device detected. Vehicle location being monitored without owner consent. Jake read it and whistled low. Electronic theft and surveillance. That's felony territory, Jordan. I handed over the footage, the timestamps, Claudia's call, everything. By the time Brent rolled back in about an hour later, my car sounded rougher. Fresh scratches down the passenger side, mud caked on the wheels, a new dent in the rear quarter. He hopped out, tossed the keys on the hood, looked over his shoulder, and flashed his phone at me. 3 bright pulses, some kind of signal. Morse wasn't a joke, just 3 flashes perfectly, even like a message to someone in the shadows. 3 days later, the mandatory community safety meeting notice showed up. Bright yellow paper, double underlined in red. Never had a mandatory anything in 2 years living here. The community center looked like a courtroom, Claudia at the front with a gavel PowerPoint on the wall, room packed. Instead of the usual folks chit-chatting about lawn care, everyone was quiet, watching her like this was some trial. She started reading out concerning behaviors not by name, but you didn't need a degree to know she was talking about me. Disruptive noise, confrontational attitude, failure to maintain appropriate vehicle standards. It was professional slander dressed up as neighborly concern. And then Twist Mr. Chin in the back, soft-spoken engineer, stands up and waves his own yellow notice. I got one too. Says I'm being monitored. What's that supposed to mean? A few more hands went up. Rebecca. The accountant stepped forward with folders full of community fund statements, highlighting security expenses nobody voted on. Someone's been spending our money on surveillance and consulting, she announced. Claudia's face twitched, but she played it off. This isn't the forum for that, Rebecca fired back. It's exactly the right forum. People started connecting the dots. Fake incident reports, money missing, multiple families flagged for compliance monitoring. The mood turned fast. What started as my trial became the HOAs. Just as things boiled over, Brent strolled in all smug, backed his mom with some veiled threat about real safety issues and problems escalating. But I'd had enough. I pulled up my phone doorbell video of Brent stealing my charger documentation of Claudia's false call. The room went dead silent. For a second, Brent laughed it off, but then Mrs. Patterson, the matriarch, 30 years a teacher, spoke up. I saw it from my window. Watched him take Jordan's car. More voices piped up. The Reese's narrative collapsed right there. Half the room backed me, the other half clung to Claudia, but the power had shifted. That night, Rebecca handed me proof of $18,000 missing from the community fund equipment invoices, consulting even a security infrastructure line item. Brent, meanwhile, started packing up the surveillance system into a truck. Rebecca followed him to a shady storage unit on Pine. We realized what was happening. They were destroying evidence, panicking. We acted fast, got Officer Jake to lock down the unit, filed formal complaints, documented everything. Next morning, I posted it all: bank records, photos, footage on the neighborhood bulletin board. By sunrise, a crowd had gathered, people furious, reading the proof. The engineer explained the tech specs: professional cameras, motion sensors, recording software costing more than some cars. Claudia showed up, tried to claim it was all fabricated, but Rebecca produced bank records straight from the source. Even Brent's intimidation tactics backfired. Phones came out, neighbors recording every threat. By the end of the day, families shared stories being watched, followed, photographed at birthday parties, their mailboxes vandalized. That's when I realized we were facing something bigger than HOA pettiness. Brent escalated to real threats, showed up at my door with a nightstick trying to stop the emergency vote. But he didn't know he was threatening a federal officer. That's right, 18 months undercover, building a case documenting every scam, every wire transfer, every civil rights violation. I dropped the badge, read him, his rights, and within 10 minutes, the street was crawling with federal agents. Claudia and Brent both arrested their tech, seized the whole operation, blown open. Turns out this wasn't just neighborhood bullying. It was part of a multi-state HOA-based fraud and surveillance network targeting undesirable families for harassment and exploitation. $200,000 in stolen funds, 27 families under surveillance operations in 3 states. In federal court, Claudia and Brent got real sentences, 4 and 3 years plus nearly $250,000 in restitution. The community fund got every cent back plus interest. The equipment was destroyed. Civil rights officers now monitor every new security policy. The best part, Unit 247, once their evidence bunker became a resource center for resident rights. Rebecca became interim. HOA president transparency became law, and neighbors finally started talking again. Kids played on the sidewalk, families stopped looking over their shoulders, and those federal protection signs at the entrance sent a clear message: we're done being targets. If you're reading this and you've ever faced HOA bullies or felt like the wrong kind of neighbor, I want to hear your story. Silence only protects the ones abusing power, but sunlight and a whole lot of truth can protect everyone else. Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about what justice really means. And if you want more stories like this, well, you know where to find me.